Huge shout out to all of you guys. I know we got the elite realtor family out here tonight, so shout out to you guys for coming out, showing some love. And of course, our business partners, like Rigo says, like Pablo says, you guys are more than just business partners to us. You guys are the reason for a part of the growth, right? And I'm super happy to have you guys with us tonight. So thank you guys for being a part of that growth and being here with us. So shout out to all the business partners and all the sponsors, okay? So, and I kind of want to touch base. I wasn't going to do this tonight, to be honest with you guys. I had a little speech prepared, and, you know, I'm just going to go based off of whatever I feel, you know, in my heart, right? That's how you know it's going to be real, right? So, like Pablo says, you know, this guy and I go way back. You know, when I first started my career in real estate, you know, I got to an environment where it was like, hey, here's your keys, here's your office, start hitting those phones, you know, do what you got to do. Totally understandable, you know. A lot of you know it was a relative's office, right? And it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. You know, I did quit, to be honest with you. My first 3 months in real estate, I quit. And technically in real estate, the advice that you're given is, hey, save up 6 to 7 months of reserves, you know, because you never know what's going to happen. In real estate, we have the saying like, hey, you don't get your first commission check till like, you know, a couple months, you know, from the moment you start, right? I was very financially irresponsible, so I saved up for 2, you know? So I started the career with 2 months of reserves, and then little did I know there was something called realtor dues, right? Those realtor dues were like $1,000. I was like, shit, all right, you know? So there goes 1 month of reserves. So basically starting into that, I guess I can say that I learned a lot, not just basically through Pablo, but through whatever life had to throw at me, right? I got into that office, going back to that again, I got into that office. I didn't have anybody to really kind of show me. I tried to, you know, shadow some agents, and I kind of got the cold shoulder, right? They're like, hey, you know, basically figure it out on your own. And then this guy came along. You know, he's like, all right, I'm going to show you what I got. And yes, I still have that blue laptop. It's in my closet. It's broken. I'll give it back to you, Pablo. You know, so honestly, guys, that's the reason why I called Pablo when I opened up the company. I said, hey, dude, you got to come and be a sales manager. Whatever it is that you taught me to do, I want you to teach these guys. I want you to be there for me the way that, you know, be there for them the way you were there for me, you know. And Pablo is a huge, definitely a huge part of my growth. Also, my mom. I want to share a little bit about my story with you guys, okay? So yes, I was broke. I was fat. I was 305 pounds. You know, I was pushing a lot of weight. And it wasn't easy, okay? When I first started, I bought 1 suit. I had actually 1 blazer and 1 pair of shoes, okay? It was a little bit of a difficult time for me, so I couldn't afford much, right? Keep in mind, I only had 1 month of reserves. Didn't have a whole lot, so I had to live off of whatever I could. I talked to my family and I said, hey, you know, we're gonna eat beans and rice for the next 6, 7 months, right? Cool with it, fine. Started getting into the business and I didn't get any clients. You guys know in real estate, it's a huge roller coaster of emotions because there's days where you're busy as hell and then there's days where you're like, shit, what am I doing? You know, and for me, the first 6 months kind of went like that until I finally met Pablo, gave me my first laptop, which I'm super appreciative for. And I finally started working, right? Started getting my first prequal. I got my first prequal, and I'll never forget how happy I was. I'm like, dude, I got my first prequal, 135,000, but shit, I'll take it. So started showing this guy some properties. And I had these shoes, never forget. Bought these shoes from JCPenney, about $40, not too bad. But these shoes, I got them when I first started real estate. And the funny part about that is that 6 months later, I got my first client. So those shoes were a little bit worn out. I was a little embarrassed because this client I was showing properties to, my shoes were already basically like split open, right? I had to glue them together so that I can kind of keep them, you know, closed. And I'm like, okay, hopefully it'll you know, stick together during the showing. So everything was going great. The last showing that I got to was my 6th house. I kid you not. I don't know why. There was a long line of stairs. And I told my clients, I'm like, dude, keep in mind, I'm 305 pounds. I told my clients, go ahead, guys, you guys go first. And he's like, isn't that the lockbox on the door so you can open the key? You get the key out? And I'm like, shit. I'm like, all right. And I'm praying to God. I'm like, God, don't let my shoes start talking, please. And sure enough, dude, I'm like, all right, well, I'll go up. And I started going up. As soon as I got halfway, sure enough, my shoes ripped. I felt the glue just like unstick. And then my client was all like, dude, your shoes. And I'm like, what about them? And then he's all like, dude, they're ripped. And I'm like, no, I'm over here playing stupid. But yeah, they were ripped. And I'm like, okay, that was one embarrassing thing. Second thing, I'm sure a little bit, some of you guys have heard me talk about this before. My mom, she is a huge, huge part of my journey. I appreciate that woman. How she put up with me, I have no idea, because I got a horrible attitude, right? But she put up with me. She was my mom and my dad at times. When my stepdad walked out of our life at 15 years old, she was strong, and I appreciate her for that. She always used to support my business in any possible way. Maybe not money-wise, but, any possible way. One of them being her car. Okay, there's a funny story with the car. So yes, my aunt was right. I got in like 3 accidents. One of them was on my way to the state exam. I was driving out there, and this is another person I got to give a shout out. She's not here tonight, but it was my aunt. She gifted me a car. Well, she sold it to me. Got in a car accident, totaled it, so I didn't have a car. So when I started real estate, I borrowed my mom's car all the time. It was a 1998 Pontiac Bonneville. How many of you guys are familiar with that kind of car? They don't make those anymore, I think. I think Pontiac's like discontinued. Anyway, so she let me borrow that car, and I remember this was my second client. The first client that I had didn't end up buying a house with me, okay? The second client that I had was pre-qualified for $115,000. I'm like, shit, I'll take it. I got to make some money. And yeah, I start showing this client some properties. Mom, can I borrow your car? It was our work car. Keep in mind, everybody used that car. Here's a funny thing. On my second showing, I thought it was cool. I used to park the car like a block away just so people wouldn't see me. So I would walk like around the corner and I'm like, where's your car, dude? Oh, I parked it over there. And I would point out a Mercedes that wasn't even mine. Just to try to look cool. But anyway, on my second showing, I was driving to show this particular client some houses and my car starts overheating. Well, my mom's car. And I'm like, shit, what do I do? And I look at the temperature gauge and it's like all hot. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, it's going to die on me. I'm going to pull over and I'm going to pretend I'm lost. Right before I pull over, the car dies. Bunch of smoke starts coming out of the car. I'm like, shit, please don't let them see it. Please don't let me see it. And my client pulls up, hey, there's smoke coming out of your car. I'm like, fuck, okay. All right, well, yeah, long story short, they gave me a ride. We looked at houses, got them in escrow, we closed them. So that was my first transaction, ladies and gentlemen. I made a whopping $2,000 on my first transaction, but check this out. You guys know as real estate agents, you give your clients gifts, right? I told my clients, hey, don't worry. I'm going to give you some pretty cabinets for your room. Let's make the deal happen. $800 right there. There went half of my commission. Keep in mind, I had bills to pay. My landlord was already knocking on my door, collections, disconnected light, disconnected water. So it was a little tough, right? So why I share this with you guys today, okay? Why everybody's sharing this with you guys is because obviously, guys, we all have our sob stories. Everybody has their own struggle, okay? And right now that I'm about to get into the award ceremony, I know that each individual agent out here that I'm about to call up has gone through a struggle. I just want to share mine with you guys in hopes to not basically brag about it, to say, hey, this is what I started with, now I'm rich. Well, no, it's to inspire people, to let you guys know that there is a way up no matter what. There's a lot of struggles, and I know that a lot of these agents, I see them every day. When I walk in through the doors, from the moment that they get licensed until our veteran agents, I see the growth and it amazes me. And I'm thankful to God to be in a position, not to be a boss, but to be in a position to change people's lives, right? So let's get started with the awards, ladies and gentlemen. All right.